We're also going to give you an in-depth look at the severe weather threat for tomorrow. Of course, that's something that Amber gave you the heads up on earlier this week on Monday. So just keep that in mind as we continue on this week. So Amber, let's go ahead and talk about that right now, because I know that this is going to be a situation where we have all storm threats in play, like anywhere from tornadoes on the low end risk there.
Yeah.
We also have the potential for hail, damaging winds. I mean, this is going to pack a punch in some way. We just don't know at this point what that's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, even yesterday morning, there was still plenty to talk about in the forecast here, and it's going to be the same thing. Now, yesterday morning, that's when we issued the 13 weather impact alert.
Right.
The reasoning for that is because we started to see models kind of coming together, starting to show that we're expecting some form of strong to severe storms into tomorrow. Time frame I'm looking at is 4 p.m. to midnight. I do want to note that a lot of models aren't necessarily fully agreeing on when the main line of storms is going to be arriving, and that's going to have a pretty big impact on the type of weather, or at least the intensity of the storms that we end up seeing. Impact from the possibility of strong to severe thunderstorms in the forecast. All modes of severe weather are possible. Now, some are more likely than others. We're seeing especially damaging winds being the highest of those, and then next up being hail, the possibility too for a low end but spin up tornado still in the forecast, and heavy rain as well. What you'll need to do is just make sure that you're staying weather aware on top of the forecast, which of course will help you to do, making sure you're prepared for severe weather as well, especially during that 4 p.m. to midnight time frame. So we are going to be anticipating the chance for some severe weather in the forecast. Here's where that storm system is right now, further off to our southwest. We are going to be seeing a bit of a severe threat across at least portions of Kansas, Nebraska today. Those are those storms that are popping up along that pair at least of two low pressure systems. That will be heading our direction tomorrow. As far as right now goes, though, we are being impacted just a little bit by this cold front, still off to our west and northwest, producing a couple of thunderstorms near the Traverse City area into northern Michigan. With that being said, we could be able to see a couple more storms that are developing southward along that exact same line. Could be seeing some isolated thunderstorms into this afternoon. Now, temperatures are going to be setting the stage for some of these storms that could be a little bit on the stronger side. Severe weather does not look to be likely for today at least, but a couple of stronger cells definitely a possibility, with temperatures that are in the mid 70s already, and we're going to keep heating up from here. I also want to show you dew points because they're not all that far off from temperatures. Even look at South Haven right now with dew points at 72 degrees. It's going to be feeling almost oppressive out there, very much so muggy, uncomfortable. Dew points that are already in the upper 60s, and that's going to be sticking around throughout the rest of the day. So plenty of moisture in our air right now. That's going to be adding fuel to some of those thunderstorms today, but especially into tomorrow. Now here's our dew points throughout the rest of the day, looking mid to upper 60s. We're also going to be seeing that possibility for a couple of the thunderstorms heading into especially the afternoon and evening hours. Hot and humid is going to be the two main words for today. Once again, temperatures mid to upper 80s, and when we do start to see some sunshine, which some of you are already seeing some of right now, that will heat things up, also contribute to ozone formation. That humidity sticking around too. Now, hot and humid, same thing for Wednesday, but Wednesday is also going to be bringing a cold front. That provides quite a bit of lift in our atmosphere. It takes a lot of that hot and humid air, puts it higher up in the atmosphere, which is where it forms the storm clouds and potentially gives us some strong to severe thunderstorms. So we do have quite a bit that we're looking at for Wednesday, that possibility that we could be seeing some severe weather in the forecast. I'll be breaking down more of what we can expect timing-wise and what impacts, what hazards are most likely at this time.
Okay, let's go back to the severe weather threat, because
Yes.
I know that there are some things that still have to come together with that forecast. The Storm Prediction Center, when they're starting to form the forecast for that, how do they go about doing that? And at what point do they really kind of lock in on some of the things that we'll be seeing on the day of the event? So in this case, tomorrow.
Yeah, so when you're looking at the potential for severe weather, all meteorologists are looking at the same things. We're all looking at models. It just depends on what factors you're really focusing on.
Okay.
So formation of severe weather, severe thunderstorms, we would look at moisture, lift, instability, and wind shear. In this case, moisture was really something that a lot of us were cued into because we saw all these dew points that were going to be upper 60s, lower 70s. That indicates a lot of moisture, a lot of water vapor in our atmosphere.
Well, this also attributes to the humidity we're going to see over the next couple of days.
Yeah, these muggy conditions that really just set the stage for having some of those thunderstorms forming. So moisture is something that we were looking at, seeing a lot of those heightened dew points. That's kind of something that can cue us into we might get a little bit of something next week. And 5 days out already was when the Storm Prediction Center actually started to flag this. So that was on Saturday that this was first starting to be talked about there at the SPC. Lift is also something that we would really focus in on. And with that being said, that's the strong cold front that's going to be sweeping through. It's a low pressure center that is circulating right over the Great Lakes, right over West Michigan, especially as we're getting into the evening hours on Wednesday. That's what's going to provide a lot of lift in our atmosphere, taking a lot of that warm, moist air, forming those storm clouds. We also have instability. If we get more sunshine, we're going to be seeing even more instability. And wind shear, unfortunately, does look to be present as well. And that's what could end up creating some of those spin-up tornadoes. So a lot of ingredients that are trying to come together here.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So, you know, the Storm Prediction Center started looking at this on Saturday. You issued that weather impact alert Monday. For the people at home who, you know, are maybe questioning or asking, how do we come up with those weather impact alerts? What were the things that you were seeing that you were like, okay, yeah, we definitely need to flag Wednesday or Wednesday evening for that time frame?
Yeah, so we don't want to flag every single storm that we see coming up in the forecast because you can get a cell or two that could be on the stronger side. That's even a possibility for today. But if it's not going to have a significant impact, especially on a lot of our viewers, then it's not something that we would want to make a huge deal out of. But when we see something a little bit more concerning like this, and especially when we get upgraded into that 3 out of 5 or enhanced risk category from the Storm Prediction Center, that is what we have written down in our rule book essentially as what we would use to be able to issue that 13 weather impact alert. So that is really what cued us into it, is that we were watching this system and saying, all right, if we start to get upgraded into that 3 or 2 out of 5 rather, and then 3 out of 5 today, that's when we would issue it. So a slight risk actually is what we use to issue the 13 weather impact alert.
And we're well above that at this point.
Now we're at a 3.
Yeah, we're at a 3. So we're going to keep an eye on that. Again, we just wanted to give you at home a little bit of insight on how we kind of do business here in terms of weather impact alerts. It's something, these are very strict criteria that our meteorologists follow. So just keep it here. We're going to keep you updated. And of course, we'll tell you how you can prepare as, of course, today and tomorrow continues. Amber, we'll see you in a couple minutes to talk about the triple digits we're going to see here in just a few days.